Ever wonder what Social Security is all about and why everyone's so worried about it? Stick around, because today we're breaking down one of the most important and most misunderstood programs in America. We'll cover its history, how it works, why it's in trouble, and what we can do to fix it. Let's rewind to 1935. The country was in the grips of the Great Depression. Millions were unemployed, and for older Americans, retirement was a terrifying prospect. Many had lost their life savings and had no reliable income. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal introduced a groundbreaking solution: Social Security. The idea was simple but revolutionary. Create a safety net for older Americans. Initially, it only covered retired workers, but over the years, it expanded. In 1939, it added survivors' benefits for families who lost a primary breadwinner. In 1956, disability insurance was included to support those who could no longer work. And in 1965, Medicare was established, providing health insurance for seniors. The core concept behind Social Security is what's called a pay-as-you-go system. This isn't a personal savings account where your money sits waiting for you. Instead, the taxes paid by today is workers are used to pay the benefits of today's retirees and other beneficiaries. It's a direct transfer of funds from one generation to the next, a social contract we all participate in. So how does the money actually flow? If you look at your pay stub, you'll see a FICA tax. Part of that tax is for Social Security. You, the worker, pay 6.2% of your wages, and your employer matches that with another 6.2%, making a total of 12.4% that goes into the system. This money then funds the monthly checks sent out to retirees, people with disabilities, and the surviving spouses and children of deceased workers. Now you might be thinking, what if more money comes in than goes out? That's a great question. Any leftover revenue doesn't just sit in a vault. It goes into something called the Social Security Trust Fund. This fund is invested in ultra-safe US Treasury bonds, which earn interest and help the fund grow over time. For decades, this system worked beautifully, building up a substantial surplus. But lately, things have started to change, and the fund is facing some serious headwinds. This brings us to the big question: why is Social Security in trouble? It's not one single problem, but a perfect storm of demographic and economic challenges that have been brewing for decades. First, and most significantly, we have an aging population. The baby boomers, that huge generation born between 1946 and 1964, are now retiring in massive numbers. This is dramatically shifting the balance of the system. Think about it this way. Back in 1960, there were about 5 workers paying into the system for every 1 person collecting benefits. Today, that ratio has dropped to less than 3 workers per retiree. And by 2035, it's projected to be just over 2 workers for every beneficiary. Fewer people paying in, and more people collecting benefits puts immense strain on a pay-as-you-go system. Compounding this issue is the fact that we're all living longer. When Social Security was created in the 1930s, the average life expectancy was much lower. Today, people are living years, even decades, longer in retirement. This is fantastic news for all of us, but it means the system has to pay out benefits for a much longer period than it was originally designed for. The retirement age and tax rates haven't been adjusted enough over the years to keep pace with this incredible increase in longevity. Then there's the economic side of the equation: wage stagnation and income inequality. For the past few decades, wages for middle and low-income workers haven't grown very much when adjusted for inflation. Since Social Security taxes are a percentage of wages, stagnant wages mean stagnant tax revenue for the system. At the same time, a huge portion of income growth has gone to the very top earners. And finally, we have political inaction. Lawmakers have known about these demographic and economic trends for decades. The Social Security Administration, its trustees, release a report every single year outlining the long-term financial health of the program. And they've been sounding the alarm for a long time. But fixing Social Security is politically toxic. Any proposed solution, whether it's raising taxes or adjusting benefits, is guaranteed to be unpopular with some group of voters. So, politicians often choose to kick the can down the road, year after year, while the problem gets closer and more difficult to solve. So what happens if we continue to do nothing? This is where the headlines get scary, but it's important to understand the reality. According to the latest projections, the Social Security Trust Fund, that surplus we talked about, is on track to be depleted around 2033. Now, this does not mean Social Security will have no money. That's the biggest misconception out there. The system will still be collecting payroll taxes from current workers. However, once the trust fund is empty, Social Security will only be able to pay out what it takes in. That incoming tax revenue would be enough to cover about 77% of promised benefits. While that's not zero, it would mean an automatic, across-the-board benefit cut of 23% for every single recipient. Retirees, disabled individuals, and survivors alike. A cut that large would be devastating for the millions of Americans who rely on these benefits to pay for housing, food, and medicine. The good news is, it doesn't have to come to that. We can fix this. The problem is big, but it's solvable, and there are several well-known, often bipartisan proposals on the table. One of the most popular ideas is to adjust the payroll tax cap. We could lift the cap so that higher earners contribute on more of their income, or even eliminate it entirely. This would significantly increase revenue without changing the tax rate for the vast majority of Americans. Another option is to gradually raise the full retirement age. Since people are living longer and are often healthier in their 60s than they used to be, this could make sense. However, this has to be done carefully. Many jobs are physically demanding, and not everyone has the health or job stability to work until they are 68 or 70. This solution needs to be paired with protections for those who can't work longer. We could also adjust how benefits are calculated, perhaps by reducing the growth of future benefits for wealthier recipients who are less reliant on Social Security in retirement. Another idea is to close loopholes that allow some high-earning business owners to structure their pay in a way that avoids payroll taxes. Some have even proposed investing a small portion of the trust fund in assets other than treasury bonds, like stocks, to get a higher rate of return. This is more controversial due to the risk, but it's a part of the conversation. The key is that small adjustments made sooner are far less painful than drastic changes made at the last minute. A combination of these solutions could put the system back on solid ground for generations to come. So, let's recap. Social Security was born out of a crisis to provide a fundamental economic safety net, and it has been incredibly successful, lifting tens of millions of seniors out of poverty. But today, it's facing a slow-motion crisis of its own, driven by an aging population, longer lifespans, wage issues, and political gridlock. The system is not doomed, and it is not going bankrupt, but it is on an unsustainable path. The longer we wait to act, the more difficult the choices become. Smart, compassionate reform is urgently needed to ensure this vital program is there for our parents, for us, and for our children. It's a challenge, but one we can absolutely meet if we choose to. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts on Social Security. in the comments below. See you in the next video.